Welcome back after what felt like the longest international break ever. Mind you, there were some great matches in between, but our baby is back, club football, and with a vengeance. Welcome to the weekend recap, and let's get recapping because there were some great matchups this weekend, great derbies, plenty to talk about. But hang on, sorry, before that, with the Champions League returning this week, that means watch-alongs will be returning as well. And this week, we have some great ones to take in together. I'm going to do a watch-along during every single Champions League match day that I can. And this week, we'll watch PSG versus Manchester United together on Tuesday, and then Bayern hosting Atletico Madrid on Wednesday. These are always a great deal of fun, a good opportunity for me to be able to interact live with you guys and just chat, hang out, watch the game together. Separately, but at the same time, of course. So join us. We go live right here on the channel, 5 minutes before kickoff. You can't miss it. And that's about all I have to say about that, all right? Let's get going. First off though, Manchester United moved past their Spurs drubbing with a 4-1 win over Newcastle, in which everything looked very much under control throughout most of the match, but they only found their breakthrough at the very end, with Marcus Rashford and Bruno Fernandes grabbing hold of this game. The latter also had a penalty saved earlier in the half, unfortunate for them. But yeah, Rashford set up Bruno for the winner in the 86th, then Rashford set up Wan-Bissaka to make it comfortable at 3-1, and then Bruno set up Rashford to put it way out of reach. 4-1 the final, Rashford looking great out there, and a shout out to Harry Maguire as well. After all of the negativity, both in his personal and professional life right now, good for him to get a goal and sort of, you know, hopefully start moving past these things. Chelsea versus Southampton was quite the match to take in. Positives for Chelsea. New signings Timo Werner and Kai Havertz were added, especially in Werner's case, as he scored a brace in the first half, then set up Havertz in the second. Werner's first goal showed his turn of pace and ability on the ball, almost ran into trouble, mind you. And his second showed his great presence of mind to capitalize on a mistake from the defender, and before panicking, he just touched it over McCarthy and nodded it into the empty goal. By panicking, I mean just whipping a strike straight at the keeper and blowing the opportunity. But for all of that going forward, Chelsea still have deficiencies at the back, and with Kepa given an opportunity in this one, I thought he went down far too early for Ings' goal in the 43rd minute, right before the half, mind you. A massive mistake from Havertz in the first place to cough up possession in his own midfield. They can both take some of the blame there. For Southampton's equalizer, another mess. First, a mistake by Zuma to put Kepa in an awkward spot, which Kepa doesn't operate well in these awkward spots, as we know. So, unfortunately, he didn't deal with it well, and a comedy of errors later, and Southampton were level. 3-2 in the 92nd minute. Yannick Vestergaard steers it past Kepa. I don't blame Kepa much on this one, but he has to share some fault for the first two. 3-3 the final. The tale of Chelsea's season so far, I reckon. Good going forward, poor at the back, especially, unfortunately, with Kepa in there. Naturally, the whole defense looks much more nervous, knowing that they have an erratic keeper in goal. That's just how it works with defenses. Man City have some improvements at the back for them, as Ruben Dias looked quite good against Arsenal, marshalling that back line, picking passes with both feet, and keeping it simple and assured. On top of that, Bernardo Silva featuring in the midfield looked good, as he is typically employed on the wing for City, but he really shines as the creator in City's midfield, I find. Raheem Sterling with the goal. Sergio Aguero is back in the fold. Bit of a controversy there with him and one of the linesmen. Things are looking like they are improving at City in regard to the personnel available. The improvements at the back, as Ake looked good as well. And I expect them to start picking up points at a more regular rate. A more Manchester City under Guardiola rate. Yes, the Merseyside Derby. Everton versus Liverpool in a fixture where you could really see this as being Everton's big opportunity to get one over Liverpool. But then again, Liverpool will have been looking to make things right after their Villa embarrassment, and it finished 2-2 in this derby. 2 for Everton, 2 for Liverpool, but I don't agree with the score. First of all, I feel like Pickford should have had a red card in the first half for this challenge on Van Dijk. It's disgusting. His feet should never be there, and he may be out for a long time, possibly the entirety of the season now thanks to Pickford's tackle. I don't care if he was an armpit offside or what have you. If a player can get sent off for violent conduct after the whistle, why should an armpit offside be a get out of jail for free card when you not only endanger an opponent, but do something so harmful that it could end their season, and you get off scot-free? It makes no sense to me. Then at the end of the match, Liverpool thought they had won it, but this is simply ridiculous. It cannot sit right for Everton fans to get off on this call. I mean, Maybe they don't care, considering the opposition. That's probably the case, actually. But come on. This is not right. This is the width of an arm hair offside. What is this? Why are we calling this, man? Do we hate football now or something? We must hate goals for allowing calls like this to happen. We hate our own sport, and we don't want goals if we are resorting to calling this. No one asked for this. These decisions overshadowed what was still a very entertaining match. Solid goals from Calvert-Lewin, Salah, MANÉ, and Michael Keane. 2-2 the final. Sheffield United are still in search of their first victory after 5 matches. They needed an 85th minute penalty that was converted by club legend Billy Sharp in order to salvage a draw against Fulham. Tough start to the season for them. Crystal Palace and Brighton also played out a 1-1 draw. Batshuayi had a goal called back, which would have put Palace 2-0 up. But again, another late show this weekend, and Alexis McAllister scoring in the 90th to bring Brighton level. And finally, Spurs came out guns blazing against West Ham once again, with Son and Kane combining plenty in that first half. And as early as 45 seconds in, when Son cut in and made it 1-0. Then, Kane scored a superb goal, 2-0, nice little nutmeg before slapping it past Fabianski. And then a great ball from Sergio Reguilon to the back post that Kane headed in. At that point, with his assist and 2 goals, Kane had already broken the record for the most goal involvements in the first 5 matches of a Premier League season, with 12 goal involvements from 5 goals and 7 assists. Amazing. It was a bit uncharacteristic of a West Ham team that had started the season so well, but they found their feet in the second half and started to resemble that team that started the season so well. They defended much better, a far less porous defense than in the first when they took advantage of Spurs dropping off, and even with Bale coming on and nearly scoring a beauty at the end of the match, West Ham really scared Tottenham as they scored from a set piece. Classic. And then a Davinson Sanchez own goal put West Ham within a goal of securing a 3-3 draw. What was going on here? I'll tell you what was going on. Again from a set piece, a poorly cleared ball fell to Manuel Lanzini, and he struck across the ball beautifully, a swerving strike that just curled out of reach of Lloris, off of the bar and in. You love to see it. You know I love a goal going in off the bar, but Spurs defensively at the end, horrible. What a strike from Manuel Lanzini, deserving of the point they got. Great heart from them, as has been the case to start this season. In fact, let's look at the standings. That point for West Ham keeps them in the top 10, I'm pretty sure. Just 1 point behind Spurs, actually. Editor Adrian, please confirm this for me and cover this, as there are still matches ongoing at the moment. Aston Villa to take the league? What's going on here? Aston Villa with a 1-0 win over Leicester thanks to a goal from Rocinho Barclino in the 91st minute. They have a perfect 4 wins from 4 start to the season, putting them in second behind Everton despite Villa having a game in hand. Chelsea, Tottenham, and Arsenal ensure that London is currently orange, Europa orange, but Leeds, currently in 9th, has a chance to move into the top 4 if they beat Wolves today. In Germany, Julian Nagelsmann and RB Leipzig continue to roll on. They're undefeated after 4 matches, and this weekend they won 2-0 over FC Augsburg, and they really should have won by at least 3, maybe 4. That said, Augsburg had a decent opportunity in the second half, but there really wasn't much that Leipzig couldn't deal with throughout this match. They did well. They're looking strong. Considering some of the changes at the club, things are looking good. Dani Olmo is finding his feet there. He had 2 assists in this match. And still, they have players such as Sorloth, Justin Kluivert, and Hwang Hee-chan to blood into the squad. So they could really be onto something good this season if those players start performing. VfB Stuttgart win once again. Oh, you love to see Stuttgart winning again. At least I do, as they were one of the top teams in the Bundesliga when I was growing up. I remember when they won the Bundesliga with good old Fernando Mera as one of their center backs. Players like Hitzelsberger, who is now their director of football. It's nice to see them back and winning matches in the Bundesliga. Long may it continue. This weekend, they won 2-0 over Hertha Berlin, a team that I quite simply do not understand anymore. I mean, they were looking good when Labadia took over in April, but I guess to be fair, he did end with as many wins as he did losses, so they're kind of picking up where they left off from last season. Bayer Leverkusen, despite racking up the draws with 3 from 3 early this season, they got their first victory of this Bundesliga campaign with a 1-0 win over FSV Mainz. The team that everyone's beaten so far. Leverkusen's draw brothers, VfL Wolfsburg. Could they suffer a victory? Or would they make it 4 draws from 4 matches to start the season? It was the latter. 4 matches, 4 draws so far for Wolfsburg, as these boys are stubborn. Playing against Gladbach, Jonas Hoffmann would have thought that he had potentially won the match for Gladbach with a 78th minute penalty, but Wolfsburg grabbed their hallowed equalizer in the 85th minute when Wout Weghorst converted 1-1 the final. Hoffenheim welcomed the attacking exploits of Borussia Dortmund, and with some better finishing from the hosts, they may have stolen a victory in this game. But on this occasion, it was the black-yellow that found the winner, and nobody will really be surprised by that, I don't think. I mean, Hoffenheim did beat up on Bayern, so... After getting his first hat-trick for the Norwegian senior national team during this past international break, Haaland came off of the bench to play setup man to fellow substitute Marco Reus for the 76th minute winner. Deserved win for Dortmund, as they had a few different opportunities to pull ahead in that match that they had spurned, and despite resting some players ahead of the start of the Champions League this week, they looked good, and more importantly, they got the result. So all happy there. Eintracht Frankfurt have continued their unbeaten start to the season as they managed a draw against FC Köln in what was not their best match of the season. A very frustrating one, actually. Andre Silva put them ahead after VAR awarded a penalty for a foul on Daichi Kamada just before the half. 1-0 ahead, but on the other side of the half, Köln equalized. But as I said, Frankfurt are yet to lose. However, they do play Bayern next, I believe. And speaking of Bayern, for their part, they had a match against one of the newly promoted teams in Arminia Bielefeld. And to be honest, they were wasteful with some of their finishing. It really could have been a damn goleada out there, but still, it was 4-1, so who's complaining, right? And just as the sky is blue, Muller and Lewandowski scored goals in a Bayern Munich match, 2 each actually, as they hogged the goals, and took turns setting each other up as well. You love to see that kind of great team chemistry out there. So that meant that Flick could take some of his stars off in preparation for their match against Atletico Madrid next week. Unfortunate that Luca Hernandez was injured in the last few minutes, but they have Davies to cover, of course. Süle and Alaba looked good together. Mind you, it was against Bielefeld after all. It's been interesting to see Javi Martinez feature far more frequently for Bayern, given that it seemed like a sure thing that he was leaving. But he came on for Goretzka, did a solid job. I guess the departure of Thiago will see him feature just that bit more this season. Standings. Feels good to see these again. Leipzig with 3 wins and a draw, top of the table, with Bayern and Dortmund just 1 point behind them. Obviously, it's all very tight, but I hope that we'll see Dortmund and Leipzig hanging on a bit longer in this title race. Hell, I'd love to see someone else win it, just for the sake of, you know, competitive football in Germany, man. It was a funny one in Spain, as many of the big teams suffered a bit, which was unexpected, but Valencia fans suffering under Lim's ownership, sadly completely expected. Their agony continued this weekend as they went away to Villarreal and had to watch on as Dani Parejo, an incredible servant and former captain of Valencia, scored what was the winner. Is it snowing? Oh good, that's the leaves falling. God, my God, that scared me. The other scorer for Villarreal, Paco Alcacer, from the spot, as he made it 4 goals from 6 this season. And he, of course, is another former Valencia player, which hurts, I'm sure. I feel terribly for Valencia, as that club is a bit of a disaster at the moment. I did a video on it in case you are unfamiliar, and I really do recommend checking it out. Real Madrid's start to the season, like Barcelona's, has been a bit unconvincing at times, despite the results they've achieved so far. Nothing to really get worried about in either team, but Real Madrid's loss to Cadiz, newly promoted Cadiz, at home no less, certainly was a match to forget. Cadiz scored early as good old Alvaro Negredo set up Lozano to make it 1-0, and try as they might, Real Madrid labored to generate quality chances throughout the game. Credit to Cadiz, who defended their own box fairly well, and a mix of poor finishing and poor chances led to their keeper Ledesma only having to make 2 saves on the night. Real Madrid were in good company, however, as there were slip-ups abound in Spain, as alluded to. Barcelona went away to Getafe with yet another shuffled lineup for them. Dembele got his first start of the season for Barcelona, his first start in ages now, it feels like. Griezmann was played as a striker, which for me, not his best position, which for him, not his best position, as he sent shouts to previous and current Barca coaches and saying that he plays well for France because Deschamps knows where to play him. We also saw Pedri get his first start of the season, and for the most part, Barcelona didn't look all that threatening going forward. In losing Luis Suarez and not buying an actual striker, I think they will suffer, Depay wouldn't have made a difference, and in letting Suarez go, it's one of those you don't know what you had until it's gone scenarios. Sure, as I too had said many times, he was past his best. It looked like a labor for him to move around the pitch at times, but to not replace him with another striker, you could really benefit from a past his best Suarez, who even past his best is an excellent striker. This is not how you build a team. Anyway, Getafe got the winner thanks to a Jaime Mata penalty in the second half, 1-0 there. Dembele looked a step off, to be expected, to be fair to him. And there's further figuring out to do. For me, the biggest question of which being who will play as a striker. Braithwaite? Because Griezmann isn't the answer, at least not as a striker. Guy has a very specific position which he needs to play in order to be effective, and as a number 9, that's not it. Thankfully for Barcelona, Real Madrid lost, and Sevilla did as well. Sevilla went away to Granada, and Granada continued to get results, as they won 1-0 thanks to an incredible second half from the hosts. It came late, but Yangel Herrera won it in the 82nd minute, no doubt aided a bit by Jon Jordan getting sent off for being stupid in the first half stoppage time. Atletico Madrid, could they be the big winners of the dropped points from 3 of the top 4? Yes, they could. Though it wasn't easy for them. Youngster Manuel Sanchez set up Luis Suarez just 6 minutes into the game. See? For the entire middle section of the match saw Atletico sort of sit back and try and hit Celta Vigo on the counter at times. I mean, Jan Oblak had to make some match-saving saves in this one. Carrasco with the insurance goal in the 95th minute, 2-0 Atletico at the cost of an injury to Diego Costa and Manuel Sanchez. Real Betis versus Real Sociedad is ongoing. How's that looking, Editor Adrian? Real Sociedad are flying. Imanol and La Real won 3-0 against Real Betis, which was Sociedad's 3rd 3-0 win in their last 4 matches. That's very impressive form, and it puts them in first after 6 matches played, tied on points with Villarreal on 11 apiece. And look at Cadiz go, mixing it up with the big boys 6 matches in with 6 goals scored and 6 conceded. In Italy, after Napoli had received the news that they would be punished for missing the match with Juve prior to the international break, someone had some hell to pay at the hands of Gattuso's Napoli, and they came out flying against Atalanta. Typically, Atalanta are the team that scores early and often before their opposition can even find their feet in the match, and how the tables were turned in this one. In just over 40 minutes, Napoli scored no less than 4 goals without reply. 4-0 after just 43 minutes with goals from Lozano, he got 2, Matteo Politano, and of course Victor Osimhen, and assists from Ospina on that last one. Atalanta looked much better in the second and even pulled one back themselves, but what a performance from Napoli in this game. 4-1 the final there, great result. Makes you think, how would they have done against Juve? Lazio are finding it difficult to find that form they were in the early half of last season, because they were not great in the latter half of last season. This past weekend, they looked extremely poor against Sampdoria, and without Immobile, they look completely blunt in the attack. Not a single strike on target in this game, while Sampdoria were propelled to a 3-0 victory thanks to their left back Tommaso Augello. He set up Quagliarella in the 32nd before scoring one himself 10 minutes later. Damsgaard with the 3rd. Pain for Lazio from that 3-0 loss. Juve went away to Crotone as they were missing a few of their starters given some notable COVID-19 diagnoses amongst the squad. Ronaldo and McKennie, the most notable of which, but a few players on their under-23 team also had some positives, so they're in a voluntary lockdown now. They're held to 1-1 with newly promoted Crotone in what was largely an unsatisfactory match for Juve. A positive would have been Morata, Kulusevski, and Artur, new boys to the squad, all performing fairly well, with Morata grabbing his first goal for Juve this season. On top of that, Merit Demiral playing the full 90 is great, as I'll say it again. He was looking excellent prior to his season-ending injury last term. But yeah, not a very interesting match to take in. Sassuolo, remember when I said that they were similar to Atalanta and that they are a very exciting team to watch going forward, but they leave something to be desired in defense? This weekend was a perfect encapsulation of that as they continued to roll on with, a 4-3 victory over Cagliari. Not bad, Sassuolo, keep it up. The Derby della Madonnina, blue versus red, Antonio Conte versus the god, Pioli. And for this one, it was a very Inter performance, and as of late, a very AC Milan performance as well. A good representation of the sort of form that these two teams have been in as of late. Milan on the up, Inter sort of lukewarm. While Inter continue to build up their squad, as I've noted a lot with you guys recently, they do have issues getting it over the line at times, and so long as that continues, they won't be winning the Scudetto. They should be winning the Scudetto, given the investment in their squad and the coach they have at the helm. But there's something up there. I mean, the coronavirus does not help Inter, as they had plenty of notable absences, but the team they fielded was still enough to beat Milan. Should have been, at least. And that's no disrespect on Milan, because they have incredible players as well. Sure, they have improved their squad, and in some cases I say they've improved better than their city rivals have. Where Inter have bought some past due players, Milan have brought in some smart buys, but they also have the best past due player in the world right now, in Zlatan Ibrahimovic. This guy does not stop performing. It's insane. He scored a brace in the opening 16 minutes. After having his penalty saved, he made up for it by converting the rebound, then made it 2-0 in the 16th minute, assisted by Rafael Leão. Leão was quite good on the day, I thought. Milan in general were quite good on the day. But both teams really should have scored more goals. This could have been a goal fest, and had it not been for some great saves from Donnarumma, perhaps Inter would have seen a more positive result. But I mean, even then, in the second half, Milan set up shop nicely, and Inter can only blame themselves for not finishing off one of two incredible opportunities to level things. This Inter side, you just feel like if they could all click, if something clicks, they're going to be pretty incredible. Their back line looked like it was struggling in the back three, but anyway, basically a very poor showing from their back line in the first 20 minutes or so, which cost them, while this Milan team, propelled by Pioli and Zlatan, continue to make their mark, and who knows, I had them in fourth, but they could finish higher at this point. Lukaku with the goal, his fourth in as many Serie A appearances this season, meaning he's off to a great start once again. It's still early in Italy, of course, it's early everywhere. So Inter could well turn this around once they have their full squad back together, and I do expect them to get back to the top, or at least close to it. And so with Roma playing Benevento right now, again, we throw to editor Adrian to give us the score there and the standings. AS Roma absolutely beat up on Benevento in a match that was capped off with Carlos Perez scoring a sensational solo goal. 5-2 the final in that one, and man, it had all started so well for Benevento when Caprari scored what was their fastest ever Serie A goal just after 4 minutes. And so, after 4 matches apiece, unless you're Genoa, Milan is the undisputed top team with 4 wins from 4 and just a single goal conceded. Sassuolo sits just behind them with Atalanta, Napoli, Juve, Inter, and Roma all trailing behind. Thank you, editor Adrian, and there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We did other leagues a little more justice this week, and who knows, maybe next week we'll balance it out further and have time for a bonus league. Anyway, I thank you for joining me. Be sure to drop a like if you made it this far and want to help out the channel. It really does make a difference. But otherwise, have a great week, and I hope to see you during one of our watch-alongs. Ciao!